I think that nowadays cinema and it's becoming more and more political. There's a lot of movies or remakes with messages of feminism or environment. So for me, it was like a surprise to find that Cats is just pure entertainment. Was it tempting for you taking the idea of Cats and transforming it into something else?
Yeah, I mean, thank you for saying that I've transformed it into pure entertainment. That's good news. I think also there is a theme running underneath it, which is about community and forgiveness, because one of the key parts of the musical is there's this character, Grisabella, played by Jennifer Hudson, who is excluded from the community and lives on the margins of society. And the story of the film is how an outsider, a newcomer, played by Frankie Hayward, leads them to sort of forgive this disgraced, outsider. And so the film talks about how we as a community, are stronger when we forgive, the marginalised, the fallen, the disgraced, the forgotten, and we're stronger when we're inclusive and forgiving. And the theme of forgiveness is something that permeates my work, from, Bertie having to forgive himself for his stammer in the King's Speech, to Valjean being forgiven by the priest, to Red Dust, my first movie, which was all about truth and reconciliation in South Africa. So I hope that underneath the entertainment that it's saying something, about the power of community.
So I've read that the first stage version was described as misogynist.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, because there's theories pointing out that Grisabella is a sex worker that is outcasted for being a sex worker. Yeah. And also that there's not enough female characters, but in this version you changed Judi Dench's characters to be a woman. So was this important for you?
It was very important to me, because I thought the idea that the god of cats should be a man was pretty outdated and patriarchal, and the god of cats should be a woman, and not only that, it should be Dame Judi Dench.
And also the Ian's character, he talks about old productions and how theater is not what it used to be, and that made me think a lot about Martin Scorsese's words about Marvel not being real cinema. So I want to know your opinion on this kind of fight between fantasy and realistic fiction.
I think Gus is sort of also capturing that sense of someone at the end of their career not accepting the new, So it's a play on a certain type of kind of person coming to the end of their career and how they might be. I mean, I feel like I'm kind of interestingly situated between the fantasy and the real, because my characters are real humans where they become cats through the fantasy of visual effects. But for me, the visual effects are all totally in service to my wonderful actors and dancers and their ways of making the fantasy happen. But I always wanted to protect their performance. You can have one more gone.
What? So finally, why do you think that we need a cinematic version of Cats?
I think because you've got to remember that even though the musical has been seen by a crazy 70 million people, access to musical theatre is quite limited in many countries. And because I fell in love with this when I was 8 years old, the idea that a bigger audience could see it, and beyond those who can afford to go to the theatre or who live in towns near theatres, that seems to be a great thing to do.